Hi, I am Amira. I grew up in my grandmother's home in the enchanted land of the Nile. I was this little girl sitting in the corner listening to grown-up stories, lives and experiences perfectly interwoven with myth, sagas and narratives of the Egyptian pharaohs, Greek gods and tales of Arabian nights. Years later, when I was introduced to Joseph Campbell's work, it made so much sense to me. Soon, the seven eyes model took shape. Joseph Campbell was an American professor who studied mythology and world religions. He is best known for his theory of the hero's journey. This is the archetypal journey of the hero, basically every one of us. It is shared by world mythologies and religions that, according to Campbell, describes our own human experience. The Seven Eyes journey is a journey inspired by Campbell's hero's journey. It is basically a soul journey, a journey where we slow down to listen to our body and heart whispers and explore our feelings and own our narrative. A journey that helps us identify our unique life purpose and find some order in chaos, light in darkness, and meaning in a suffering world. We'll embark on an adventure together where we delve deep into our inner world, unraveling layers of stories and meaning and weaving our personal story of courage and vulnerability, integrating our experience of joy and pain, love and fear, health and woundings. The Seven Eyes journey starts by listening to our body and our heart whispers. Body whispers is a term I use to describe the subtle warnings our bodies send us to tell us that something needs to change in our life. They could be mere feelings of restlessness, angst that I can't even describe. They're not symptoms yet in the medical definition of the term. They definitely are not diagnosable, at least not yet, but we know that something is there, something is not right. We can feel it. Our body speaks to us in its own unique way. It delivers a message that we need to hear at this point of our journey. If we turn deaf ears, the whispers will get louder and louder until they turn into screams. Dr. Candice Pert, the American neuroscientist and pharmacologist who discovered the opiate receptors in the brain, coined the word molecules of emotions. She taught that neurotransmitter receptors, like the receptors for endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin, that signal happiness, elevated mood, and increased motivation, are not only found in our brain and in our nervous system, but they're also found on the surface of our white blood cells, our stomach, in the intestine and sexual organ. They're everywhere. In other words, science shows that when we are sad, every cell in our body feels that we are sad. When we are depressed, angry, frustrated, motivated, joyful, hopeful, or grateful, all these emotions are converted into molecules of emotions, as she calls them. These molecules delivers a message everywhere in our body to every single cell. Traditional medicine like Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, Unani medicine have an elaborate description of those body whispers. Those ancient holistic medical systems tell us that our emotions and feelings are stored in a specific way in specific organs in our body. We find a hint in our common everyday language, like our lower back, for instance, detect feeling of betrayal or store feeling of betrayal and financial worries. Did you ever hear the expression stabbed in the back? Our kidneys store the fears and frustration. Have you ever been pissed off? Our lungs hold our grief, this chest tightness we feel when we lose a loved one. Our immune system is linked to safety and security, this annoying bout of cold that hits us when we are preparing for an oral exam or an important interview. Our large intestine stores our worry and stress, and this is very well documented in the IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and it's also well documented in our common everyday language, like when we hold too much crap in our life. Integration is the first stage of the journey. The call for adventure, as Joseph Campbell describes it. When we first receive this call, our life feels chaotic and ambiguous. We experience the need to pause and collect all the bits and pieces of our life, integrate all the aspects of our identity, and establish a foundation, a structure, or a framework for our primary need for safety, security, belonging. Who am I? Where do I stand? Who stands with me? In Ayurveda, the traditional Indian medicine, the first chakra is our anchor. It is linked to the adrenal glands. It's fight and flight, the sympathetic nervous system, and rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system. When this stage is not in order, our body whispers to us through anxiety, depression, and structure organ, mainly the muscles and bone structure, our framework, our backbone. We go through the 7 eyes cycle over and over again throughout our life, every time we face a new call for adventure. This call for adventure is not necessarily a bad news. It could be a happy incident like newborn baby or a new job, even winning the lottery. It is a call that challenges the status quo and forces us to look at life with new eyes, to grow and learn in new ways. And as we go along this journey together, I invite you to think about one challenge, one adventure that you are currently going through. That what is the call for adventure, your call for adventure at this stage of your life? We are always on one part or one stage of this cycle. You could be at any stage of your journey. You might have just received the call, a new job, new diagnosis, newborn child, or grandchild, some financial issues or relationship challenges, or even simple feelings of angst and uneasiness. Or you might have already accepted the call. You have initiated the transformation, healing journey. I want you to just identify the call that you're going through and keep it in mind as we go along the journey. Then comes the second stage, initiation. What do we do when we receive a call for adventure? We usually ignore it and brush it off. We take an analgesic or an antidepressant to silence our body whispers, but the whispers would not go away. Instead, they become increasingly louder and louder until we are forced to accept the call and we are initiated onto our healing journey. Amid the chaos, we start to look for little things that reignite our passion for life, our creativity, our sensuality, our joy. In Ayurvedic medicine, the second stage is where creative potentials, creative energy, and life dreams reside. This is also where addictions develop. If we ignore this emptiness inside us that needs to be fulfilled, if we keep rejecting the call, we are ignoring a hungry ghost, as Dr. Gabor Mate calls it. This hungry ghost needs to be fed and will demand our attention. On the physical level, a healthy balance of those pleasures, joys, and passions is needed to set a healthy rhythm of our sexual hormones. The third stage, implementation, starts when we decide to cross the threshold and own our narrative. We become active agent in our healing journey. This implementation stage corresponds to the third chakra in Ayurvedic medicine. This is where our strength, our potentials, our self-esteem, our sense of agency reside. In order for us to cross the threshold, we need to revisit our beliefs about ourselves and others and dig for our strength and coping tools and strategies. When this stage is not in order, our body sends us warning through our digestive system with all its organs, enzymes, and hormones. But change is never easy, and the healing takes time. Our journey is not a straightforward journey. There is no magic wand or miraculous pill. The fourth stage is a road of trials. A road of trial that we have to tread. And as we are advancing on our path, we are building our heart-based strength and stamina and resilience. I call this stage intimacy because this newly found courage and resilience is anchored in our intimate connection to and intimate trust in some higher transcendent reality, in God, in our Creator. It's like being intimate with what gives meanings to our life. According to the chakra model, the physical warnings at this stage come in the form of cardiovascular, pulmonary, and immunological whispers. Then comes the fifth stage. The fifth stage of the journey starts with an expected pause. Digging into our stories, exploring our strengths and weaknesses, and treading the road of trials will force us to come face to face with many tests, allies, and enemies that, in Joseph Campbell's words, might throw us into the belly of the whale, in our innermost cave. It is time for slowing down, time for reflection and re-evaluation. And from this darkness of the belly of the whale, from the deep, eerie cave, transformation takes place. At this stage, we find our voice and we learn to distinguish between what we can and what we cannot change. Not out of resignation or helplessness, but rather out of trust, strength, and flexibility. We restore our integrity and our congruence. When this stage is not in order, our body sends us warning through our throat, our thyroid, our neck, and our shoulder. The sixth stage is insight. Campbell's hero's journey does not stop at achieving transformation. The hero has to take the road back for resurrection to occur. This stage is about seeing through the challenge and emerging with a richer narrative and a valuable contribution that enable us to reintegrate into and re-engage with life with the newly found wisdom and meaning. The insight we gain at this stage of our journey enables us to see new ways and embrace other alternatives, choices, and possibilities. The sixth chakra is known as the third eye. It is about finding meaning and wisdom in our challenge, and maybe at times being at peace with not understanding the meaning and wisdom of our challenge. When this stage is not in order, our body sends us warning through our pituitary gland, the maestro of our endocrine system, causing a plethora of hormonal and metabolic malfunctions. And finally, we are reclaiming our true identity and sense of agency. We find our joy and earn the freedom to live. But what is freedom and what is joy? This is what we're going to find out as we go through our journey. We are now living with sincerity and intention, clearly seeing and actualizing a valuable purpose and meaning of our life. We are back home, yet we are seeing it with new eyes. When not in order, our body sends us whispers through the pineal gland, the central nervous system, and sometimes the whole body system. And then it will be time for a new call for adventure, a new cycle, a new challenge. And as I mentioned earlier, we go through this cycle over and over again throughout our life. Every time we face a new call for adventure, and the challenge is not necessarily a bad news. The challenge can be a good thing, but it is something that actually challenges our status quo and forces us to look at life in a different way and grow and learn in different ways. If there is one message I want to leave you with today, it is listen. Listen to your body. Your body is always sending you whisper. Listen to the subtle message your body and your heart is sending you. And listen to the world around you. The world around us is always sending us signs, subtle signs. If we are going through life on autopilot, riding the hamster wheel every morning, walking around like zombies, unaware and heedless, we'll miss those messages, we'll miss those signs. And we'll miss the meaning of our life. We're not living. This is why, to start our journey, we need to awaken, to turn off the autopilot. Awakening makes us more aware, forces us to slow down and listen to our body and our heart and our world. Okay, so this is the 7 Eyes journey, and if you want to join us, join our community, and I'll meet you in other videos and other classes. Have a good day.